welcome to September's Indiana Learning Partnership event, Fall into Reading. We are excited to showcase and celebrate reading all this week, and today we have with us Brenda Boulais. Brenda is an educator and author and one of my very first mentors in education. Bren, thank you so much for joining us today, and I will turn it over to you.
Thanks, Morgan. Hi. Like Morgan said, I'm an educator. Even though I have been retired, I am still a teacher of 34 years and still continuing to learn. I taught grades K through 8, and I was in IPS, and I was in Wayne Township and Pike Township for like the last 15 years. But you can see I have a show and tell here with my grandchildren, and that's my crazy dog right there that I do love spending time with. So I always was a lover of just learning to teach, and as a teacher, you're always learning. And so as the students are learning, you're learning with them. And so we can go to the next slide. And I just want to talk about, I had a dream as in the hubbub of all the days. And you guys understand what it's like when you're barely able to catch your breath during the day because you are constantly problem solving and even though our brains are not meant to multitask, we have to multitask all the time as an educator. But I had a dream for a couple things. One was to swim with dolphins, and I got to do that a couple years ago. And another was to be a writer and to be a teacher leader. So I'm proud to say that, I heard once not to dream not your life, but to actually live your dreams. And so I'm kind of here today to just celebrate that I'm living my dreams. And I got to swim with the dolphins. And then I also started on this journey as a writer. And I want to share that with you today. Teaching wasn't always a breeze and it wasn't always smooth sailing, but we would on our days off, they wanted us to go to conferences. So I went to this conference years ago, and I was just fortunate enough to meet Dr. Timothy Brzezinski. And he is an educator, and he was actually president of the International Reading Association, and he's just a marvelous person. And I went up after I was so kind of awestruck by his presentation, and I went up and shared with him an idea, and he just sort of affirmed me. It was like my aha, because this great, incredible educator said, "You've got a great idea. Why don't you write it and share it?" And so sometimes we have balcony people in our lives that are there to encourage us. And, sometimes it's just, somebody on your team or, relatives or whatever. But those people are so important because when they just sort of affirm you, it gives you this excitement for doing whatever it is that you're dreaming to do. So my dream was to be a writer. And I remember being in like middle school and getting a paperback where they put the red marks all over and I'd done everything wrong. And I certainly would never have told you I was a writer because I didn't feel that I was a very good writer, but I continued to work at it. And as an instructional coach, I had my teachers, I would try to survey them like at the beginning of the year. What is it? How may I support you best? What can I do to help you? And they all said, "Oh, Boulais, you've got to help us with writing. Our kids just don't want to write." And so I said, "Well, writing's hard, So I want to just share that a little bit of my journey. I decided to write my idea from Dr. Brzezinski. I was so passionate about life skills. And I felt that our children needed to know those social skills and the life skills just as much as they needed to be able to, problem solve in their math and to be divergent thinkers. So I basically, this quote is just saying that the secret this is from Alice in Wonderland. It's just to surround yourself with people who make your heart smile. And if and only then, that's when you're going to find Wonderland. So my Wonderland started with Dr. Rosinski, and I brought these books. I was actually published with him. And there's a lot of books here, but he wrote these texts for fluency. They're for grades 1 through 6. And he asked if he could use my Reader's Theater scripts in these texts for building fluency through practice and performance. Well, I was, of course, honored, and I actually was really shocked because I was just so honored to be published with him in those books. And but he actually it was through Shell Teacher Creative Materials and Shell Publishing. I got a check. So it was like, woohoo, because we never get bonuses in education, and so it was just wonderful. But the discipline I had to put myself through with the writing is on my spring breaks, I went 2 spring breaks down to Florida. And don't we all want to still love those spring breaks to Florida? But I dedicated 2 hours every morning, my cup of coffee, 2 hours, and I sat at my computer and I wrote. And at the time I was writing at Whole Foods because they had free Wi-Fi. So it was just, so with teaching writing with students, you have to model it for them, model how difficult writing is. It's hard. And the higher up you get in the grades, it's just that craft is really more sophisticated. So if you show that you can be vulnerable with your writing, I think it helps free them up to try and to write also. So being published was wonderful. And then Dr. Rosinski said, he actually came to Pike Township and did a big workshop on fluency, and it was great. But he said, keep writing, Bryn. Don't quit. And he has shared his story now with it. He's a professor at Kent State, and he shares my story with them, that the writing was something that I disciplined myself to do, and it paid off. So fast forward, then probably we started learning with Dr. Lori Desautels in professional development. We were studying neuroscience and how the brain works and just the science behind, how does our brain work, optimally. And our students, who many are coming with trauma, and they come through the door with lots of things. And it doesn't matter what the socioeconomics is, it might be, I know one little boy couldn't test one day because his fish had died and he was just beside himself. But basically with the neuroscience in the brain, we started several of us learning as teachers after school with Dr. Desautels about the brain and the neuroscience. And she really inspired all of us. And we were doing quiet times at Eastbrook Elementary. And I'm so proud to say this is a clip of actually Morgan Mason's classroom, first graders. They're doing quiet time. And we started implementing the quiet times. And the teacher said, as the instructional coach, will you come in? It's just, how do we get started with this? So we worked, the teachers and I planned and worked together to do that. And then I said, somebody, I don't remember who said it, but, it'd be great if we had like a mentor text. So, and that's where I got this little inspiration to write Brainysaurus. Now, why did I do Brainysaurus? Because at the time I had 4 grandsons that were all into dinosaurs. And so I just thought, how can I make a very sort of complex idea into a children's book? So I wrote Brainysaurus, and it's illustrated by Daryl Smith. This is him on the back here, and he is just a brilliant artist. And when you see some of these pictures, then you'll understand how he was able to take my idea and make it fit my words. So I'm going to share with you, because this book is so easy, and I just shared it with a teacher at the beginning of the school year. She was implementing quiet time, and our students loved it. And actually we had 15 classrooms all doing like quiet time either once or twice a day. And our behavioral referrals were really cut down because it helped the students. Often they wanted to have a quiet time. They would come in from recess and say, "Oh, Miss Boulais," or "Oh, Mrs. Mason, we need a quiet time because this happened on the playground." So often the teacher started the day with a quiet time, and then they had one like after recess, and that seemed to really get them ready to learn and go forward. So I'm going to share with you Brainysaurus that I wrote, and illustrated by Daryl Smith, and I hope you enjoy it. So here we go. It says, "I have a friend inside my head. He is a genius dinosaur that I have named Fred. Fred the Brainysaurus is so important to my life. He lives to help me understand what is wrong and what is right." So here Daryl wrapped the dinosaur around the brain. So this Brainysaurus loves to eat plants that grow in the ground. He loves almonds, walnuts, kale, and any vegetables found. Cranberries, blueberries, greens that are edible. He feeds mainly on water, fruits, and vegetables. Fred's prefrontal cortex is at the front of his head. "Here is my hippocampus and my amygdala," he said. "In these parts, I can store the memories that help me learn. Should I do this or that? I must discern." I love here how Daryl put two different scenarios in our brain and what should they choose. "My prefrontal cortex helps me in school. Long and short-term decision-making is a valuable tool. Staying organized and thinking goes on in these parts. I can control my behavior by mixing my head with my heart." When I learn new things, it changes the wiring of my brain. The more connections I make, the more my brain retains. It's like a workout for the brain to study and learn. Study before bed. The working memory takes a long-term memory turn. My prefrontal cortex keeps growing until I'm about 25. I need help with decisions to make it through my teen years alive. Even though stress is a part of life, I need to learn to reduce stress and unnecessary strife. Typically here we stop and talk about what is strife or what is stress and what's difficult. One way to reduce stress is to increase passion and empathy. Running, exercise, and quiet time creates a beautiful symphony. Meditation, positive thinking, and visualization can happen in only a 5-minute fab elation. Fab standing for focused attention break. F is for focused and A is for attention. B is for the break I take at school or home. What a great invention. My teacher can participate. My friends and family too. Taking a focused attention break may get us all through. The highs, the lows, and those in-between times. Renew thinking by breathing, inhale, exhale, relax, and feel fine. My brain craves novelty, prediction, analogy, and association for survival. In school, I need engagement, which is a creative type revival. When I am angry, I really only want 90 seconds to be mad. For my amygdala to feel calm and safe, perhaps I just may need a fab. a focused attention break. When I learn conscious thinking and become a good self-assessor, then my brain of 3 pounds can learn to not be such an aggressor. We've got stay calm here in the brain. Fighting, name calling, and yelling at one another all cause my brain to be out of sync, and it makes me mad at my brother. This Brainysaurus loves to have his heart tickled. Touching my emotions helps me erase the negative trickle. I care more about my world with sincere compassion. It's a mindful revolution to allow a loving interaction. So water your brain, 2 cups for every 25 pounds. That's the science. Eat healthily, exercise, and try to remain on stress-free ground. Remember, focused attention breaks can help you all through your years. Remain calm, feel loved, keep the dendrites growing between your ears. Brainysaurus is a compassionate type of character. He loves to be loved inside your head now and forever after. This last page is for the literal kindergartners and first graders. I thought I better say this. Now, is there really a Brainysaurus living inside your head? Not really, but your brain is amazing, so keep it watered, loved, and fed. And that's Brainysaurus. I appreciate that I was able to share with you. I keep a journal every year. This is 2022's journal with a B for Brenda Boulais. And I just want to encourage all of you to share your ideas, jot them down, write your ideas. And even if you're, going home and you're being a mom and you have to put all these different hats on, not only just as a teacher, but if you're coaching or whatever it is you're doing in your career, I first of all want to just thank you and honor you, because your work is so incredibly meaningful. And we're in a time where, a lot of educators are choosing to leave this field. And I have to share that I left it after 16 years because I needed to make more money, I thought. And I left and I sold houses for a year. And I've always shared this with teachers that it was so nice the first couple of weeks when I sat at a desk and I could have a Diet Coke and I could go to the bathroom when I wanted to. And then I missed the meaningful work. Not that selling houses isn't meaningful, but just day in and day out, everything that you're doing, you are superheroes. And thank you so much for all the work that you do. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story today. I cannot wait to share that book with my little one when he gets older. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you guys next time.
Thank you.